Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am TT Worldwide. I hope you're doing good. I'm hoping you're all fine. Now, today I want to talk about the woman called Ruth. A lot of people, I don't think they've realized the character that Ruth portrays, the heart and soul that Ruth carried. For her to be favored by God and to be blessed by God the way she got blessed. Remember, Ruth was a Moabite woman. She was not an Israelite woman. She was not part of the Abrahamic covenant. She was not. But her faith is what brought her in and for even her name to appear in the book of life. Here's the story. If you don't know the story, I'll give you the story. Naomi and her husband, there was a famine that was happening in Israel, and they decided to leave and to go to Moabit. And they did that, and they left Naomi, her husband, and her two sons. And the story that happened is that the husband passed on and the two sons passed on. But the two sons, before they could pass on, they got married. And one of the wives was Ruth. Ruth was a daughter-in-law to Naomi. Now, after the death, the two daughters stayed with Naomi. And up until when Naomi heard that Israel, things are good in Israel, and he started, let me go back home, and told her two daughters-in-law that go back to your mother's house. And I love the part where she mentioned go back to the mother's house because she was a mother. And the other one went away, but Ruth clinged on Naomi and told Naomi that I'm going with you. Now, that's quite interesting for me because of I'm one particular person. I love when I read the Bible. I love to study the character of the people that God uses. To find that what kind of people that God uses, but at the same time to understand the nature of the people they are. So I analyzed it. I said I'm going to be practical about this, and I'm going to be realistic about this whole situation. Why would Ruth refuse to go to her mother's house? And then actually, even when the husband passed on, why didn't Ruth go back home? I mean, she's a widow. I mean, she can open herself to say, okay, maybe another husband will come. But Ruth stayed with Naomi and refused and went to Naomi in Israel. So you ask yourself a question. What was it that was bad that Ruth didn't want to go back? First and foremost, we understand that the Moabites, they have their own culture, their own traditions, the way how they do things. And obviously, Ruth getting married to an Israelite man, he encountered something different than what she was exposed to. Now she was exposed to something else that she didn't grow up knowing. And I do believe that, one of the things that made Ruth to come up and say, I'm not going back, because he encountered God. He encountered a certain lifestyle. He encountered, love. I could put it like that. Encountered love. I mean, for her to stick to Naomi like that and refusing not to go back home after Naomi said, go back to your mother's house. And I do believe that Naomi, for her to say something like that, she knew that the mother was still alive. So she found out something different. She found out love. She encountered love. Now, obviously, in the presence of God, if you have encountered to be in the presence of God and you know how the presence of God is, you will know how beautiful and how awesome it is to be in the presence of the Lord, and you will feel like it will not leave you. I would say that's another thing that what made Ruth to be in the place. Now, obviously, it tells you that the love that Ruth encountered and came across to Naomi is not the same love that she got from her mother. I'm going to put it like it is. That even when the death of the husband, it didn't make Ruth to leave. Yes, death is not a nice thing. I think she was broken. They were both broken. They grieved together. And there's nothing, as I would say, that it was going to be difficult for the both of them because of, I believe that the mutual affection was the same. Now the grieving became something that because of why, Naomi lost a son, Ruth lost a husband, and obviously that made them to bond even more. Because why she found love in Naomi. Naomi treated her very well. I mean, I don't think this whole drama of mother-in-law and daughter-in-law saga thing happened between Ruth and Naomi. Because otherwise she wasn't gonna be like, I'm going with you. She was gonna be like, I'm gonna stay away far from you. But that's what was not even the case. Naomi was a woman with love, woman of beauty, woman of beautiful character. And Ruth clinged on that. And that automatically showed me that the mother was not like that. When it comes to culture, when it comes to traditions, obviously that's too different. You know, she realized that, oh, these ones they don't do what we used to do, what I was exposed to. I believe that she started falling in love with the things that our God does. For something to keep you, it has to be something much more powerful. And that's a reason why I love, people to go out and be exposed. You know, don't be stuck in one place and you get to be used to one place. I always say you get to be born in Mabopani. You go to school in Mabopani. You finish school, you get married and stay in Mabopani. Ah, come on, man. That's not life. Be exposed, go different places. Hence, I encourage people to go on vacations as well. Because you get to be exposed. You get to see how other people live. You get to be exposed and see other cultures and traditions. Why did the Lord create the world that is so big that it is today? With different cultures of people. Because He knows that if we are all the same, life would be boring. If you travel and you go to Sweden, you're going to find that the Swedish people are doing something different. There's something about them that you might like, you might enjoy, that you may blend in. You may be like, oh, I love this. But if you're all the same, that life would be boring. So exposure is the most important thing. It is the most important thing. I always say this thing, and I'm going to say it. This is the first time I'm going to say it. I said, today we are saying the world is 26 years old, even though it is not, but we're just going with it. And if Adam and Eve were still living, because God didn't create man to die, He still talks about a new heaven and new earth. He's still talking about bringing us back to the new heaven and new earth. So that shows that God didn't create man to die. So if Adam and Eve were living and they were 26 years old, let's just say hypothetically speaking, what would be they doing different for all those years to find life exciting? For them to wake up in the morning and say, hey, baby, money, 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 for 26 years. People reach 30 and they're tired already. I'm tired of living. Could I check out of here? What will they be doing different? Do you think they will be stuck in the Garden of Eden? If they really want to live long, that won't be something I will do. You've got to be a person who has a spirit to be exposed, to try new places, to try new things, to grow, and it's much more important. So Ruth got exposed to something different than what she knew growing up and everything else, and she encountered something different. And through Naomi, that is why she was like, I'm not going back, because she knows that going back, I'm gonna go back to what? And there are people who get to be exposed and from that experience life like any other. Obviously, you can't go back there and try to live the very same life that you used to live. It's not gonna even feel it because you've grown. You're much more of a big of a person. So that's another thing that I looked at. It says Ruth didn't want to go back there because she knows that I'm bigger than what it is. I'm exposed too much to what it is. That is not gonna feed me. And actually, I admire her because if she went back, she was good as dead. Because why? Nobody was going to understand her. And she was going to be able to live the life that she was supposed to live. Bishop T. Jake speaks in this manner, and I love it the most. He says, when you hunger intimacy, when you hunger greatness, when you hunger, a life a much more, that is something that is inside of you. You are hungry for that because that is inside of you. So you're out to be in places where that hunger will be fed. So Ruth automatically had that upon herself. That is why when she got exposed, it was not that difficult for her to blend in. That even in the midst of death, because remember Ruth lost her husband, but that didn't push her even away. So this is the woman Ruth that I'm talking about. The one that when he realized God embraces it and keeps it, no matter how hard life could be. Losing a husband is not something that is easy, or losing a loved one is not something that is easy. But when you're filled with love and hope, and when you recognize that this is much more beautiful than you are, even death won't paint that bad. Even death won't kill that fire, that hunger within you. That is why she had it upon herself that I'm not going back. I want more. And she was a woman who said, I want more. I want more. Going back to her mother, there was something that was not, I don't want to go back there. It may feel like she's abandoned her family. But if something doesn't feed you, and if something that you can realize that it's not going to feed you, you don't have to go back to it. You don't have to. You don't have to. If you come across someone who can fill you with that life, fill you with that thing that you're hungry about, and automatically you have to put it. You have to put it like that. Even when it comes to friends, you have to put it like that. You're out to know, hey, I love this kind of a friendship that I'm in right now. It's feeding me. And the ones that is not feeding you, you have to recognize that, I have nothing to gain here. There's no need for me to go back. And don't go back. Don't go back. Embrace the life and tell yourself that you want more. And that's what Ruth did. The only thing that Ruth did when he said to Naomi, don't tell me to go back. All that I want more. She didn't even know that her name was going to be written in the book of life. She didn't know that she was going to encounter a man called Bios. She didn't know that she was going to have a son who's going to be in the lineage of Jesus. She didn't know. But her hunger, her fire, her passion, her being exposed and embracing it and keeping it, made the woman that Ruth is, that Ruth became. And another thing, that aspect that we don't talk about is Naomi. Naomi played a vital role when it comes to Ruth as well. The Bible in the book of Titus encourages older women to teach younger women on how to love their husband and their children, how to behave in all those things. And I feel like today, there are many women who are like Ruth. They are Ruth, but they don't even have the Naomis in their lives. Eesh. They don't even have the Naomis in their lives. And they're trying to figure out life by themselves. Ruth was able to become who she is, was able to be in the place and position. That's what she is, because Naomi played a role very well. So if you're a woman, you're a young woman, I will tell you, pray to God that God may show you your Naomi. Because you need an older woman whom can show you ways on how to live, position you, teach you how to love your husband, teach you how to love your children, who's able to. Ruth had Naomi. If it wasn't for Naomi, Ruth wasn't going to be married to Boaz. She wasn't going to. And I say again that at the beginning when I said that Ruth, the only way on how Ruth refused to go back is because the love that she found in Naomi. She realized that Naomi is much more rich spiritually, emotionally than her mother, because she encountered something that her mother doesn't have. Your mother may be the one teaching you and guiding you in the right way, but God has Naomi somewhere out there that will lead you and show you on how to become the woman that you're supposed to be at. I'm going to leave it here. I'm hoping that you've got something. If you're a woman, be interested. Go read the book of Ruth and pray first that God may open your eyes, your spiritual eyes and ears, so you can be able to hear much more on what I just said about Ruth. Remember to interact with me when it comes to my social media pages. Facebook is Mokota Tato, in brackets TT Worldwide. Instagram, Mokota Tato _worldwide. And X is Mokota Tato. And TikTok is tt.worldwide0. And my YouTube channel, just search and say Mokota Tato Studio and you'll find me. On that one, please subscribe and like so that you and I will be able to do things together. God bless you. Have a lovely day.